Welcome back to Beyond Wisdom In. Once you understand this, everything changes with women forever. You'll unlock the hidden mindset shift that rewires how women respond to you. This one truth transforms confusion into confidence, and attraction becomes effortless. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, women just don't respond the way you expect? What if I told you there's one shift, one realization, that changes everything? Have you ever wondered why some guys seem to effortlessly attract women without saying a word, without chasing, without pretending to be someone they're not? What if I told you there's one truth, one inner shift, that once you truly understand it, nothing about your relationships with women will ever be the same again? This isn't about pickup lines or manipulation. It's about waking up to something you've been blind to your entire life. Because once this clicks in your mind, the way you move, speak, and exist around women changes forever. And the crazy part, it's not about her, it's about you. This isn't about tricks. This is about seeing reality differently, and once you do, you can't go back. I want you to imagine something for a second. You're texting her, thinking through every word like it's a game of chess. You're overanalyzing her responses. Why did she take 2 hours to reply? Why does she seem excited one day, distant the next? You play it cool on the outside, but deep down, you're anxious, wondering if you're doing something wrong. You feel like you're walking on eggshells, never quite sure where you stand. I know exactly what that feels like. I used to live in that space, constantly chasing, constantly trying to win her affection, constantly fearing I'd lose it. I thought that if I just became more attractive, more clever, more available, then maybe, just maybe, she'd finally choose me. But that version of me, he wasn't attracting women. He was repelling them, and I didn't know why. It all changed the moment I stopped looking at women as a mystery to be solved, and started looking inward. I'll never forget the moment it hit me. I was sitting alone in my car after another night where I felt like I was being led on. She said she liked me, but her actions told a different story. My mind was racing with questions. Should I pull back? Should I call her out? Should I be more patient? But then, like lightning, a single thought cut through all the noise. What if the problem isn't her? What if it's how I'm showing up? That moment was like waking up from a dream. I realized I had been outsourcing my worth to how she treated me. My confidence lived in her approval. My peace depended on her texts. I was a puppet, and she didn't even know she was holding the strings. When you're in that space, you don't realize how energetically obvious it is. Women feel it when you're desperate. They sense when your presence is just a performance built around what you think they want. It's not about the words you say. It's about the energy behind them. I didn't need a new strategy. I needed a new self. From that moment on, I stopped chasing. I started setting boundaries, not out of bitterness, but out of deep respect for myself. I stopped trying to impress and instead focused on being present. And everything changed. women started responding to me differently. Not because I changed the way I acted, but because I changed the way I existed. I became grounded. I became someone who didn't need validation to feel valuable. And in doing that, I became magnetic. That's what I want to share with you today. This isn't a trick. It's a shift, a fundamental change in how you relate to yourself, which ripples into every interaction you have with women. And once you truly understand this, you can't unsee it. You don't go back to chasing. You don't go back to insecurity. You become the one who is chosen, not because you tried harder, but because you finally let go. Thing changes with women forever. And it's not what you think. It's not about learning the perfect line, crafting the ideal text, or becoming some ultra-masculine version of yourself that fits a mold. It's about realizing something far more profound. Women respond to your energy more than your words. Read that again. They feel your presence before you ever speak. They sense your confidence or your insecurity the second you enter the room. What changes everything is understanding that you don't need to chase, convince, or impress anyone. What truly pulls women in isn't your outer actions, but your inner foundation. How safe, grounded, and whole you feel within yourself. When you live from a place of lack, always needing her attention or approval to feel good about yourself, you give off an energy that repels. It's subtle, but women can feel it instantly. It's the difference between a man who needs her and a man who chooses her. One feels heavy, the other magnetic. Once you understand that your value doesn't come from being wanted, but from knowing your worth with or without her, your whole world shifts. You stop waiting 3 hours to text back as a tactic. You stop playing mind games or trying to be overly available. Instead, you move from clarity, not fear. You say what you feel without attachment. You show up not to impress, but to connect. And ironically, it's this version of you, the one who no longer needs her validation, that becomes the most irresistible. Why? Because he's free. He's not acting. He's not trying. He's just being. He knows who he is. That's rare. And women are naturally drawn to what is rare. Understanding this also changes how you interpret her actions. When she pulls away, you don't spiral into self-doubt. You observe. When she tests you, you don't react. You remain centered. When she's indecisive, you don't become desperate. You remain anchored in your truth. That emotional steadiness becomes your superpower. And trust me, it's more powerful than any look, status, or trick you could ever try. The guy who can stay calm, grounded, and unattached, while still being open, warm, and confident, is the guy women feel safe around. And safety, not charm, is what unlocks true attraction. So no, this isn't a pickup technique. It's a paradigm shift. It's about realizing that the outer world, how women treat you, is often just a reflection of your inner world. Change how you see yourself, and you'll naturally change how women see you. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're finally aligned. Once you get this, truly embody it. It's like flipping a switch. Conversations flow easier. Eye contact lingers longer. Attraction becomes effortless. Not because you did something different, but because you became someone different. That's the insight. That's the shift. And once you feel it, there's no going back. Everything you've been taught about women starts to fall apart and finally makes sense. See, the illusion most men live under is this, that you need to earn a woman's love. That if you say the right things, look the right way, act confident enough, or just play your cards right, she'll finally see your value. But this mindset is broken at its core. Why? Because it puts her on a pedestal. And you beneath it. You become the one seeking, chasing, hoping. And whether you realize it or not, that neediness seeps through every interaction you have with her. It shows in your body language, your tone, your decisions. You don't trust yourself to lead. You second-guess your instincts. You're trying to perform instead of simply being. That's the illusion, thinking that love, attraction, connection can be earned by sacrificing your sense of self. It can't, and the moment you believe it can, you've already lost. The truth is, women are not attracted to how hard you try. They're attracted to the truth of who you are. And when you hide that behind overthinking, overgiving, or pretending to be someone you think she'll like, you disconnect from your natural power. You become a version of yourself molded by fear, not desire. You believe that if you show up as you really are, it won't be enough. So you overcompensate. You give more than you should. You silence your needs. You tolerate disrespect. You let her test your boundaries and call it patience. But deep down, resentment builds. Confusion builds. And the more you chase her validation, the more she pulls away. Because subconsciously, she can feel it. This man doesn't fully trust himself. And if he doesn't trust himself, how can I trust him? Women don't want a man who's perfect. They want a man who's clear. Clear in his standards. Clear in his intentions. Clear in his energy. When you see through the illusion, you realize the goal is not to get her. It's to be you without apology, to stand firm in your values, to stop over-explaining, to walk away when something doesn't feel right. That doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you self-respecting. And ironically, that's when women start to chase you. Not because you manipulated the game, but because you're no longer playing it. Breaking the illusion means freeing yourself from the belief that you are not enough unless someone else says so. It means remembering that you were never meant to audition for love. You were meant to embody it. And once you get that, you don't need to chase another text, another chance, another woman ever again. You sit in your truth. You radiate from within, and the world, especially the feminine, feels it. Because presence is rare. Clarity is rare. A man who doesn't bend to be liked is dangerously rare. And when you become that man, everything changes. There comes a moment, quiet, subtle, yet undeniable, when your entire behavior toward women shifts. Not because someone gave you a script or you read a book on how to be alpha, but because something inside you clicked. You're no longer that guy who texts 3 times and panics when she doesn't reply. You're no longer second, guessing your every move, wondering, was that too much? Did I come on too strong? Should I wait a few hours before I respond? That version of you begins to die, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You stop performing, you stop over-giving, you stop allowing your worth to swing on the fragile wire of her mood or attention. And what replaces all of that is something much quieter, much stronger: self-possession. A deep, calm certainty in who you are, what you offer, and what you no longer tolerate. You no longer go into conversations trying to impress. Instead, you observe, you listen, not to gain approval, but to see if she even fits into your life. You don't chase, you lead. You don't seek attention, you command presence. When she tests you, you don't get reactive, you lean back. When she tries to spark insecurity, you don't fold. You hold your ground with a smile that says, "I'm not shaken." And when she pulls away, you don't panic, you don't double text, you don't spiral, you respect it. Why? Because you've tasted the peace of a man who's no longer addicted to outcomes. That's the shift. You go from trying to get the girl to realizing you are the prize, not in some arrogant, chest-thumping way, but in a grounded, unshakable way. The kind of energy that says, "I know what I bring. I don't need to prove it." And the wild part, that energy is magnetic. It flips the script. Now she's the one wondering where she stands with you. She's the one decoding your texts. She's the one leaning in because she senses that you're not performing for her approval. You're simply being rooted, present, masculine in the truest sense of the word, not dominating but centered. And that's what no one tells you. Women respond to your internal state more than your words. When your energy is clean, your intentions are honest, and your sense of self is intact, you become someone she trusts without even knowing why. You're not nice. You're not bad. You're real. And real is rare. That's the behavior shift that changes everything. No more games. No more begging. No more shrinking yourself. Just you, fully aligned, fully enough. Once you operate from that place, there's no going back, because the man who walks in truth doesn't chase anything. He attracts everything. Now that you understand the inner shift that changes everything with women, it's time to ground that insight into real, practical action. Because understanding alone doesn't create transformation, application does. The first step is this: stop chasing and start observing. For the next 7 days, don't initiate contact with any woman you're interested in. Not to punish or play games, but to observe your own emotional patterns. Notice how much of your peace is tied to her attention. Watch the anxiety that rises when you don't get a text back, or the urge to check in, just to feel secure. This awareness alone is powerful. It reveals how dependent your self-worth may be on external validation, and once you become aware of it, you can reclaim it. Second, commit to a daily presence ritual, 5 to 10 minutes where you sit in stillness, without distractions, and breathe deeply into your body. Focus on nothing but your breath. Why? because this practice trains you to hold your own emotional space. Most men collapse in the presence of female emotion or uncertainty. They fidget, react, chase, or shut down. But the man who can stay present, calm in his own body, not needing to fix or impress, is the one who radiates natural magnetism. This presence isn't something you fake. It's something you build through repetition. It's like a muscle. Strengthen it daily. Third, speak to yourself with intention. Use a simple but powerful affirmation that realigns your energy. I am the source. I don't seek, I attract. The truth is, women haven't changed. You just haven't met the real you yet. And when you do, they feel it instantly. Say it each morning. Whisper it when you feel insecure. Repeat it until your nervous system believes it. Because here's the truth. When you carry the belief that you must prove your worth to be loved, you act out of desperation, and desperation is repellent. But when you affirm that you are the source, you no longer chase what was never meant to complete you. You stand in your own fullness. And from that place, women feel something different in you, calm certainty. That is what they're drawn to. Not your looks, money, or words, but the way your energy feels. Finally, enforce this rule moving forward. Never tolerate confusion. If she's hot and cold, if she plays games, if you feel constantly off balance, step back. Not with drama or anger, but with quiet strength. Confusion is the enemy of self-respect. The moment you honor your inner clarity more than your desire for connection is the moment your life begins to change. Women respect men who respect themselves. They lean in toward men who are willing to walk away. These steps are not tactics. They are standards. And when you live by them, you're no longer trying to get women. You're inviting the right ones into your reality. That's the difference. That's the shift. And once you live it, nothing is the same again. Once you understand this, you'll never go back to the old you. The moment of truth. The part where you stop watching videos and start looking in the mirror. Because after everything we've just talked about, there's only one question left that matters. Are you ready to stop being the version of yourself who chases, doubts, and performs, and start becoming the man who attracts, anchors, and leads? That's not just some feel-good motivational line. That's a challenge. Because the reality is this: once you understand the truth about your energy, your presence, and your inner worth, everything changes with women forever. Not just in theory, but in real life. Conversations feel different. Silence becomes more powerful than words. Rejection no longer feels like death. It becomes redirection. And women, they sense something in you they rarely find. A man who doesn't need them to feel complete. A man who sees himself clearly, speaks his truth without fear, and walks away when he's not honored. That man is rare. That man is free. And maybe for the first time, you're starting to feel what that freedom could look like. No more pretending. No more overthinking every message. No more trying to decode her mixed signals like some desperate puzzle master. You don't have to live in that state anymore. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit someone else's story. You were never meant to be the guy who gets chosen last. You were meant to be the one who doesn't need to be chosen at all, because he's already chosen himself. And that is the shift women feel. That's the energy that draws them in without effort, without strategy, without masks. So what now? You've got a choice to make. You can walk away from this video and go back to chasing, waiting, overanalyzing, hoping someone else finally sees your worth. Or you can make this the moment where everything turns, where you stop asking for value and start embodying it. It doesn't happen overnight, but it starts the moment you stop needing the outside world to validate what you already know on the inside, that you are enough, that your peace is non-negotiable, that your attention is sacred, and that any woman who wants to be in your life must meet you with the same level of clarity, honesty, and respect that you bring to the table. Not because you demand it, but because you no longer settle for anything less. So let this be your wake-up call, not just in dating, but in life. You're not here to chase anyone. You're here to become the type of man who creates such a strong gravitational pull through his presence that the right people simply find themselves drawn in. That's your power. That's your edge. And once you truly understand it, you won't just attract women differently. You'll live differently. There's no going back after this. Only forward. Welcome to your real self. This video comes to a close. I want to leave you with one final truth, one that might echo in your mind long after the screen goes dark. You've just heard what most men never figure out in their entire lifetime, that the real shift with women doesn't come from playing a perfect role, sending the perfect text, or saying all the right things. It comes from becoming a man who no longer seeks approval, because he already walks in self-respect. That shift is everything. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's powerful. Because when a man reclaims his presence, women feel it. They sense it in how he moves, how he speaks, and especially in how he doesn't chase. The version of you that once begged for attention is gone. Now you move differently, not to be noticed, but because you've finally noticed yourself. If you've made it this far, it means you're ready, not just for better results with women, but for a better relationship with yourself. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new standard for how you live, lead, and love. So, if this message hit home, if something inside you just clicked, don't let it fade. Comment below, "I'm done chasing." To anchor this shift, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because in the next video, I'm breaking down exactly how to hold masculine energy when she tests you. You don't want to miss that. This journey isn't about changing for women. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to shrink. And once you feel that power again, trust me, they will too.